Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to talk about all of the hyped romances that are worth it. So a couple of months ago I did a video where I was talking about all of the hyped romances that let me down, and I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to hype up some books that are already pretty hyped that I think you should read. So first up, the first books slash author that is 100% worth the hype is any of Lisa Kleypas's books. I think if you are a historical romance reader and you haven't tried Lisa Kleypas, you are doing yourself a disservice. Her books are so good. They perfectly intertwine relationship dynamic, family dynamics. I like the Bridgerton series. Do such a good job of making the characters feel believable and fleshed out. They each have their own personalities, unlike the Bridgerton series. Such interesting relationship dynamics. Her writing is just so beautiful. It's so consuming. Her books are so accessible if you are looking to get into historical romance. And she has such varied stories, plot lines, relationships that it's not a chore or it's not repetitive to, you know, marathon a series if you want to. So, and she has quite an extensive backlist, and from what I've read, they're all worth it. So next up is Birthday Girl, or really Penelope Douglas as an author in general. Birthday Girl is definitely a standout. I think if you are a taboo reader or a not a taboo reader, you will like Birthday Girl. It is an age gap romance between a woman and her ex-boyfriend's father, and it's a beautiful relationship. Penelope does such a good job of making believable characters and characters that work together, and even when their books have gotten overly long or I haven't loved some of the new releases that they've put out, I think altogether their stories are very worth it, and there is something to grab onto for everyone, especially taboo readers. I think if you are a taboo reader, you will love Penelope Douglas. They do a very good job of cat and mouse dynamic while making everything still feel fresh. Next up is Addicted to You. So I have not read any of the other books in this series or the spin-off series, but I read this book, the first one, recently, and really enjoyed it. It has a completely different tone, a completely different feeling that I was really anticipating from this, and I can't say that that tone is carried through the rest of the books by this author duo, but this is about two addicts who form a fake dating relationship to appease their family and bring attention off of them actively participating in their addictions. And this story is basically those addictions coming to a head, and like I said earlier, the tone of this is very different from what I anticipated. I went in expecting like a very Gossip Girl-esque story, and this feels very emotional. It has this this underlying sense of like dread and fear for the characters, because you know that eventually things are going to go wrong. You just don't know who it's going to be and how it's going to happen, but it's just them coming to terms with their addiction, struggling with their addiction, and all of the things that are involved in it. I'm very eager to continue the series and all of the series that this author duo has written, aka the Hot House Flower series or whatever. So very well worth the hype. So next up might be a shocker. It was certainly a shocker for me, and that is People We Meet on Vacation. I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. This is a friends to lovers story about two people who met in college, and every year they go on a vacation together, and then 6 years prior to the events of the first one, something happened on a vacation that separated their friendship, and the book is told in alternating points of view of present to past, and past is recounting summers up into that fateful summer. While I think that the present wasn't as developed as I would have liked, I do believe their tension, I believe their relationship, and I definitely felt the angst. I loved watching these past summers. I wish we had gotten a little bit more story after they worked out their relationship and after they got together, to see how they would actually function like in the same place living together as a couple. But I did believe the angst, which is really all I'm looking for, and I definitely thought it was a good friends to lovers romance. I don't generally love that trope, but I thought it was angsty enough, so definitely worth the hype. So next up is Hook, Line, and Sinker or really any book by Tessa Bailey. As someone who does not generally read a ton of traditionally published romances, I find Tessa Bailey's stories to have just enough comedy to not be annoying, but be kind of lighthearted in there, and enough emotion and angst to pull someone who doesn't like rom-coms through the story. I find some of them to be a little bit more misses for me, a little bit more on the rom-com side, more than the emotional side, but I definitely think in particular Hook, Line, and Sinker, and in particular Love Her or Lose Her, they are standout romances just across the romance genre all over. Hook, Line, and Sinker is a friends to lovers romance, and they have been friends for about 7 months. They communicate via text, and the heroine convinces her film crew to film their film in this small Westport, in Westport, this small fisherman's town where Fox lives, who's the hero. And Hannah, the heroine, has to stay with Fox, and they have this like back and forth relationship. It presented a lot of interesting dynamics between the two of them. Hannah is in love with her boss, and Fox is this like notorious playboy who doesn't really like that reputation. He doesn't really like the things that his looks have forced upon him, or the roles that he has to play or feels like he has to play, the perceptions that have been put on him since he was a child because of how he looks. So definitely an interesting conversation that I haven't personally read in a romance. And then the last book that is well worth the hype in my opinion is The Never King. So this is kind of an odd one for this list, but I know that some people have been hesitant to pick up The Never King because it kind of blew up, but it's definitely worth it. It's a dark Peter Pan retelling. It's a why choose romance. The heroine is Wendy's descendant. The hero, one of the heroes, is Peter Pan, kidnaps Wendy to help him find out what happened to his shadow. There's a lot of like dark and broody characters, and it's just fun. Like, it's not going to be your perfect swoony like puzzle piece romance, but if you're looking for something dark and fun and sexy, this is definitely it. It's definitely worth it if you are into those sorts of reads, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so that is all of the books worth the hype that I want to talk about today. Let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in me doing another video like this. I would love to. I love hyping up romances, but if you don't have anything to say, leave some sort of heart emoji down in the comments. If you are looking for more content from me, make sure you follow my Instagram, my podcast Instagram. Make sure you follow my podcast on all your favorite streaming services. It's a horror podcast. It's a lot of fun. And I will catch you guys in my next one. Thanks so much for watching.